Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Inside Track. I've got a fabulous guest with us this morning, Rosanna Tucker. How are you?
Very good, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Now, I've wanted to get you guys on for quite a while because obviously you guys are growing massively over the last few years. Do you want to give people a quick run through of who Rosanna is and your brief career and what you do now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of CoverMe, um, uh, a, a tool that's been built specifically for the fitness industry. So it's a two-sided app. And I'll come on to a bit about that later, but I'll tell you how I got there. So um, hugely passionate about the industry. So I was doing fitness as quickly as I could get onto a running track. I was on a running track. So
Oh,
from
wow.
7 years old, yeah. So I went to do athletics. And so training was a big part of my life. And I was pretty good at athletics. So I ended up doing a lot of training. So I was training like 5, 6 times a week. So
What level did you get to?
GB junior.
Wow.
Yeah. So and I was I was good, but I loved it as well. So that idea
Ouch.
of doing things that I was passionate about, I liked having fun. So I wasn't like a huge fan of the classroom. So I think when people say, actually, incidentally, I was thinking about it today when I was running, and I was just thinking, running for someone else is just like the worst thing ever. But for me, I absolutely love it. And that's why I do it every day, because I
Do you
love it.
still run now?
Yeah. And I think the thing is, if you're passionate about something, that's what makes it easier to do over and over and over. And,
Absolutely.
either it's your profession, it's your passion. And if you can do both, that's what enables you to just keep doing it, doesn't it? So athletics, I loved, fitness, I loved. So it felt like a natural path for me to go into the health and fitness industry. So I went in as a PT and I went traveling. So I traveled around the world doing that, which was just
Did you?
amazing. Yeah. So I went, do you remember Travel Bag?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, my ex-wife used to be in travel, so she didn't
Right.
work for Travel Bag, but she worked for complete North America Travel. She worked for and stuff like that.
Yeah. So travel bag, you could go around the world. And my ticket was £1,100. I went to Thailand, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Hawaii, LA, home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, obviously that was 22 years ago now, but you could travel for next to nothing. And I didn't have a lot of money in my bank because I'd just been a PT. My first post was in Crosby, Liverpool. So I'd been like a fitness instructor doing group inductions and a bit of PT. So I didn't have a lot of money in my bank, but off I went to do kind of PT around the world, which obviously you can do that anywhere. And that was before digital platforms or anything else. But so I went around the world doing that. And I think that really made me experience lots of different cultures and lots of different ways of working and the ability to speak to people and build relationships. That's probably what.
I guess what's different with doing that is the fact that you're having to go in quite quickly and get clients because you're traveling. It's not
Yeah,
if you've got time to settle into a club and gradually build your client. You're going in there going, bang, I need some clients. I need to earn some money.
yeah, exactly. And I used to leverage the idea of, I'd be paid by the club, and then I didn't ever do like the freelance model for exactly the reason you just mentioned, the idea that I'd be moving on in 3 or 4 months. So after traveling around, I then landed back in the UK and started my career. So did the usual, PT, and then I thought, I need to earn a bit more money than this. So I thought, I'll be quite good at selling because I'm good at talking to people. So then I went into the sales route, sales manager, club manager, right the way through until I met co-founder Beverly. And it was when we were working together, we identified something that we thought would be a good opportunity, which was the group exercise landscape. So lots of innovation in the gym, lots of new gym equipment, even down to like the type of lighting that was being used. But then when you got to the group exercise space in the studio, it was wooden floor, bright lights, mirrors,
Yeah.
same as the 80s. So you're like, there's got to be something that we can do, because just like, when the instructors are teaching, it's exceptional and it's so motivating and the music's there. We thought there's got to be something we can do with this environment to promote better training outcomes. So
It's interesting actually you say that because a lot of clubs rely on the personality of the instructor to make their classes successful. When actually you think, and the one big thing that Marriott taught us was very much around you've got to hit all five senses. So it's got from the smell, obviously you don't want to, but you can actually make a pleasant environment with the smell, with the sound, with the lighting. And but like you say, most studios don't do that. They almost go, right, we're going to hire this great instructor when it's down to them. But then
Yeah,
they leave and so do half your members because they just follow that instructor out.
exactly. And I think, and the reality is from all of the data that we derived from when we opened the concept, it is 90% the instructor. It always will be, whatever you do. But what you can do is give them all the support and tools to make their job easier or as good as they can be on any given day. So even
Yeah.
when they have an off day, the surroundings can make it better. So our first business together was an immersive fitness studio. So we created 270-degree CGI animated environments
Oh
so that
wow.
when you went into yoga, you'd have, it would be on Bali Beach. So you'd have the sound of the crashing waves, you'd have the temperature right, smell of coconut, and you'd have your instructor at the front. And the whole idea was switch off, immerse yourself, take yourself on this experience. There's no mirrors. So you're feeling the exercise, which is what you should be doing. You should be in neutral spine. You shouldn't be looking around. And you switch off your competitor, which is on, your inner critic is on all the time. So
Yeah.
whenever you're in those environments, everyone is comparing. It's just human nature. Not as good as her, better than her, could be stronger than him. It's constant, and that's a noise. So when you switch that off, the only competition is you. It really is. The only competition becomes you, which enables people to have a better training outcome. So just like when you're doing a HIIT class and you're going to the beat of the music, imagine now in those last 10 seconds, everything is flashing red. There's fireworks going off. The energy
Wow.
builds to such a momentum that inevitably you get these better training outcomes. And what we found is, because we had over 1 million visits in these studios, what we
Is that
found
right?
was
Wow.
we found that people loved it. And it was difficult to ever understand why they loved it. Obviously, what I've just described sounds really cool, but it didn't necessarily. And as we know from health clubs, it's not. You can have all the features in the world, but if it hasn't got that secret sauce, if it hasn't got that energy, it doesn't matter. You can have the best kit.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't fly. And it was something about evoking all those senses, that all of those things created the perfect workout environment. Irrelevant. I mean, you have to feel good as well. Obviously, you've had a bad day, you're late, you rush in. But by switching everything off around you, you could get as close as you could to having the best workout possible. And that was so important.
It's really interesting actually because I talk a lot and especially with my clients and on LinkedIn, but about the journey. And I strongly believe that although we're there to lose weight, get fit, whatever our goal is, that ultimately is the end of the journey where we're trying to get to. But we don't see ourselves necessarily as an entertainment industry. But
Yeah,
that's what we are. People are
absolutely.
spending their free time to come and be entertained, to come and have fun, to come and enjoy themselves. Now, I'm not saying everyone wants to turn up and rock and roll and like a nightclub, but everyone's still going to enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you won't carry that journey through to the end.
No,
And I
no.
guess if you've got that immersive environment like you are, or that you've got those clubs, you're almost giving them that entertainment as well as the exercise, as well as the motivation from the instructor, and it
Yeah.
must be an incredible feeling.
Well, I think that you've nailed it, Ryan. Most people don't want to be there. There's 10% of us that love fitness, and that's, it's kind of like we've been trained by the media to think that everyone should want to keep fit. Well, I don't like painting. I don't like creative things like that. But
Yeah,
if
neither do I.
everyone said that's what you should like, you'd feel like obliged to be good at it. I have to sit and draw every day. I don't really like drawing. It's the same with fitness, but because it's been made like almost shamed, like do you go to the gym? You don't go to the gym. And I think that's what's so important about finding what your movement is. And that comes back to the thing I was talking about, which probably didn't make a huge amount of sense when I started off about the run this morning. But I got back and my partner, and we're staying at my partner's family's house. They're all like, oh, you've done the run for all of us. And they were in PJs and there was absolutely, but there's no desire at all to go for a run. And that's why you've got to pick the thing that you like and do that, because that's what
Absolutely.
you'll be really good at. So if it's walking that you like, do the walking piece. Then you don't have to go for the run. You don't have to do the gym. You've got to find what you like. And the whole idea of creating this entertainment was that people don't really want to be there. Just we all want to be there because we're so passionate about it. We love it. We even come in on our days off and work out together. Like, can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
But they don't want to. And if you can understand that and try and crack that code to be like, right, let's create an environment that's entertaining. They're going to want to come back and do this tomorrow because it was fun. And if you can bring the element of play and fun into it with animation, graphics, scent, sound, etc., we're getting closer to being able to provide an industry where participants genuinely want to come and work out rather than feeling like I should go to the gym. Because
It's a bit like bingo, isn't it? My son went to that bongo bingo. He's at uni, and I don't know if you've seen the bongo bingo, but it's basically bingo at a nightclub.
Okay.
It's absolutely mental. Yeah, it's just crazy. But they play bingo as the reason they're there. But I don't know how many actually play it. But it is just crazy. But they've taken this old person or particularly boring activity in my book. I mean, I'm sure those people love it, but made it into an activity. So now it's fun. Now it's exciting. I mean, they've got DJs on the stage. They're shouting out the prizes, getting people on stage doing silly things. But they've turned it into a fun environment, and I think that's where we miss in some of our clubs, and what we're not looking at going, actually, yes, get fit, but the longevity and keeping them there is making them enjoy coming. And that's what. Why do so many people play sport? Why do you run? Because you enjoy it. Why do I play cricket? Because I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm no good at it anymore. I'm nearly 50, so you know what I mean. It's not fun playing from a young lad at 100 mile an hour, but I still enjoy going and playing the sport, being part of that. And I'd rather do that than the gym.
Exactly. And I think that's what you've got. People like we wanted to be able to create environments that people wanted to come to, and enjoyed and wanted to come back to. That was our kind of key thing. And it was when we were operating these studios that we came up against the problem of managing all of these classes, all of these instructors, and because you have a product, and so this wasn't like, oh, this is the first time I've ever experienced operating, because I'd operated other clubs, but it was the first time when it really, really was my problem. It really did stop with me or Beverly. So it'd be me on the spin bike if there wasn't an instructor that we could find, or it would be me going to tell the 30 participants that unfortunately HIP wasn't going to happen this evening because XYZ. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. We have spent so much time and energy creating this product. We have such amazing team members, but life happens, and it's not about how good those team members were or how consistent. Of course, there is that as well, but it was just the ability to run this club was almost impossible, because you had
challenge you also have, I guess, whereas you've got gym instructors, they don't turn up the shift. It's a little bit easier to cover that shift.
Yeah.
Whereas a class instructor who specifically teaches yoga, spin, whatever, it's very much harder to suddenly replace them with another member of staff that's in the club.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not impossible. It's just there's no system to connect everyone. So you're using lists, you're using Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, phone calls. That's out of date. Where's the compliance? Sarah's just come in. I'm teaching body pump tonight. No, don't know who Sarah is. Never met Sarah. Lovely to meet you, but I don't know if you're qualified. And I've spent all this money and time and training, and I've got this product, and I want it to be just like this. And because of the systems that we're using to operate clubs, it is not possible for me to be able to provide that product. And I look across to other industries, and I'm looking at the way we order our Ubers and our cars, and I'm looking at the way I'm watching Netflix and how easy that is, and the way I can order food. And I'm like, why can't I run my team on clicks of a button? Because that infrastructure and technology could pivot and help solve a real problem that's not just in our industry. It exists in hospitality, healthcare, and so on. But this is my problem, and this is my industry. So Bev and I set out to look at how we could create a solution to help manage your existing team, make sure they were compliant, reward and recognize them, and then if I needed new instructors, hire them. So how could I do all of that from one platform? Because at the moment I'm using 4 or 5, and it's taking me about 10 to 15 hours a week to do this, and unsuccessfully, because I can't always find the person I need to fulfill that class or whatever it might be. So We did loads of research all around the world to see if the problem existed of operating your team in a digitized way that didn't take 10 to 15 hours a week. And then on the other side of that, from an instructor's point of view, we found that the new instructors aren't coming into the industry. So when we walk around the fitness shows, it's all people our age.
Yeah,
Where's the
me
next
too.
generation? They are all desperate to teach more, but they never seem to be around when you need them to teach more. There's all of these people that want to work, they can't find work. What's the system to get work? Walk right down the street with a CV? They're not going to do that. That's what we used to do. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
That's why they're going to go and work for delivery, because it comes to their phone, they do it when they want to do it, and they're paid well. So how do we solve for this? They want to earn more money, raise their profile, but they're not going to do it in the kind of, if we're in the digital revolution now, they're not going to do it the way they're being taught to do it at school. So the whole education system of like, this is how you go to work is not the way you go to work. So they come out of, because that's the industrial revolution. We're not in that anymore. So they're taught a way of doing it that we did. That's the way we did it. They're not willing to do it like that. And we're actually not in that. We're in the digital revolution now. So that kind of goes in the bin. That's not the way you're going to go to work. So they're left kind of like unsure, scared by AI, passionate and want to do something. And we're actually in the industry where people will always prevail. So we're in a great industry to not get too scared by AI, because that won't be
Oh no,
replaced.
absolutely, absolutely. I think staff are always going to be integral to what we do, and
Mm.
that's why these clubs that go unmanned and stuff, I'm not a massive fan of at all, because I don't think it really is what the fitness industry is all about.
It serves a
Which is helping people achieve their goals, entertaining them. And you just can't do that with no staff.
No, it's a different structure, and it provides something, but it's perhaps not. It can't ever replace a human. And in our studios, we had virtual content, but really good. Because I was always of the opinion, everyone said virtual didn't work, and I was like, well, virtual like that doesn't work, because that's a screen at the end of a white walls, and it's small, and it's an instructor in another studio. And I was like, if we can create content where we green screen film some of the best instructors in the world, and we put them in these immersive environments, and we've got teaching animation, motivation points, like gamify it, that's going to work. It improved it to 30% capacity from
Yeah.
5 to 10, but never 100%. It just doesn't replace a human. It doesn't. You could have holograms, you could have all sorts of things. You could probably have Jennifer Lopez teaching Zumba immersively, but if you've got Sarita, who's your superstar Zumba instructor, all day long they're going to see Sarita
Well, the
over.
problem you don't get the feedback from the person teaching, do you? That's the problem. You're watching something and following, but you
Mhm.
don't get that. There's so much that goes on in a class, and I don't think enough people understand it. But there's so much going on in that class that teacher is giving that feedback and taking feedback that you can't replicate it, not unless you're going to stick a hologram in the front that's AI interactive. I think that's the only way you'll do it. But it has its place. I always find virtual is really good for sales rather than it is for actually the service delivery.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to be able to say we've got 80 classes on the timetable instead of 40, and you can go in and do a class whenever you want, and it sounds quite nice on the sales pitch, but it
Yeah.
never quite has the same impact when it comes down to your numbers are never the same.
No,
It's you're almost relying on the members in the club or members in the class to create the atmosphere and the environment.
that's right. And it's your diehard members that go to that. It's your 10 percenters that come anytime, because they have to get that workout in. So it
Yeah,
doesn't that, or actually, incidentally, people that were a bit nervous of trying something. We had quite a few men and women that would come in who wouldn't ever have gone to yoga, but because it was immersive, they felt a bit more comfortable. But I think,
I think if it was going to take off, it'd have taken off online as well. And I don't. The online revolution looked like it might have scope when we had COVID, but as
yeah,
soon as COVID and we were allowed back, it died a death.
yeah,
And it's
people,
still there, but it's not growing like everyone expected it to.
no.
Um,
And I think that's what, and so, coming back to the people and what we needed to create, because they needed to get back to work. And we did have this huge problem, which we're still experiencing after COVID, is that we had a mass exodus of group exercise instructors that just left. They left and went into office jobs. They went and did other things because obviously we were shut, especially in the UK. Bev and I opened and shut the same business 3 times. I think that's a record, isn't it? Like,
Wow.
here we go again. And then we shut it down again. That was in 2 years. So people just couldn't, it's like a bad hokey cokey. Like they just couldn't, you had to go and get a job. And then I don't think we won them back. And then we don't have a way for our next generation to go to work. So it was really important that whilst I wanted to solve my problem, which was as an operator being able to, at a touch of a button, find cover for a class, be able to communicate with people, and then at a touch of a button, find someone else in the local area that would want to come in and teach a class for an audition and join our team. Even in an ideal world, I wanted to create a subs bench. Imagine that, actually, a team that are ready to jump in who want the opportunity. So that was my thing I was trying to solve. And then from a fitness pro, which was my life previously, so it wasn't alien to me, but I hadn't done it for a while, but I wanted to be able to give them something where they switch it on and they can have a class like that. Because there's 17,000 classes going on in London a week.
Is that right?
The cover that's going through our platform now, you don't need a job. You could just pick up cover and you could earn enough. Yeah, it's huge. So
I guess when you first launched it and you went to, because obviously you were solving your own problem, but I guess when you took it to the open market, probably the biggest fear was, are we going to get enough instructors on the platform to actually provide them, the clubs, with the solutions they need?
Yeah, because it's a cold start and there's so many papers on it and books on it, and I tried to read most of them, but it's a real problem that is very difficult. You can look at all the ways of solving it, but until you live it and breathe it, it's quite a challenge to be able to do that. But it's a constant cat and mouse game that you're always trying to keep up with, because you've got to create. But I think the most important thing to do is to create value on both sides. So
Absolutely.
it had to be something the instructors wanted to use. So they needed to be able to upload a profile in kind of under 5 minutes. It had to be compliant. So we had to make sure that everyone was verified. So we have a human verification team, because platforms will disintegrate very quickly if there isn't quality on there. So having that quality and compliance is, incredibly important to us. So having a platform where I can load everything on, it becomes my digital wallet, and I can switch on and start to earn that day if I want to. And then from the operator's point of view, like you say, they also want to know that they can manage their existing team. So even by just connecting teams, so if you look at, estates that have maybe 35 clubs in London, they're not talking to each other. There's loads of people that could have done that class. They're not in your club. They're only a mile down the road. They would have done that. And then
it's crazy. I can remember when we worked for Marriott, you had clubs around, or in Fitness First. I mean, they had even more clubs. When you're struggling for instructors, and your first thought was never, I'll ring Derby or I'll ring Leicester or ring. It was always, what's that cover list? Who we got on? Yeah. It's just like, the easiest thing to do is just ring the other club.
Yeah. So now at a touch of a button, you reach everyone that's qualified, certified, insured, can teach yoga. And at a touch of that button, that person can say, I'm ready, I'm free. They can come, cover the class. It all changes on the timetable. It's all fully integrated. All of this is just a thing of the past. You'll just know about it from your reporting. And at the end of the month, you can see, right, I've got 15% of the workforce saying they're unwell, and that's why they can't teach. Is there an issue here? Overtraining? I need to look at this. Then you'll see we're only getting 75% cover for spin. We need to hire 4 more spin instructors, because it's not a magic wand. You need to have more people. But the most important thing was to look at the ecosystem of pain points and then solve for them, because you can't just create a tool that solves for compliance, because that's great, but that lives in one place. You need compliance that's linked to profiles of your team, that's linked to the communication channels, that's linked to the cover, that's then going to tell you what the issues are so you can go and recruit from them. If you don't do all of
I love the idea. I had a club and we nearly brought them on board, you guys, but they didn't decide in there. But I love the idea that when you've got a new club, you can literally just go, right, we don't need to go out and individually recruit and everything else. We literally just get the CoverMe app, and we're pretty much, that's our recruitment process, because we just go out and we go, we need spin instructor, and suddenly you've got all these people on board saying this, and because you've verified them, because you know they're qualified, you're not having to do all that due diligence yourself. You can trust that the people on there are the right people that you're looking for, and I just think it's so hard to find good instructors. And so when you go out yourself and you're trying to build a timetable, it's a nightmare. You know probably far more than I do, but when I've tried to do it, it's a nightmare to build from scratch. So
Yeah.
when you've got something there with a whole list of instructors and everything, and it's just go right, just build that team from here, job done.
Yeah, push a button. Because the other thing is, because it's also it takes time. That's what's the challenge. Then you put a post out on a jobs board, and then you've got 25 CVs, totally unconducive for me to seeing if you're a good Zumba instructor. You're probably terrible at writing a CV, or you might be fantastic. But again, I still, even if it's a great CV, I don't have no idea how you sound, how you teach. So it's just all the systems are broken, and that's why we wanted to create a profile where instructors get to put their pictures, a little video of themselves, show off what they can do, and then you can just, as a brand, have a look down. If you like them, you love heart them, they join your network, and then that's part of your team. One of the bits of feedback we got early on was that I don't want to put my team on it, that's my team. So you've got that kind of like, and if they're employed, we actually close them off. So if they're employed by you, that's understandable. You don't want them live on a network. But if they're freelancers, we did a survey, and on average, freelance instructors teach at 7 different clubs. So if you don't know that, you're living in like a land where, because of course, a club can't give, if I'm a freelance instructor, I might need 20, 30 classes
Absolutely,
a week. So unless you're giving me that, I'm going to need to go elsewhere. And of course, when I go elsewhere, I learn about different brands. I probably become a better instructor because I'm exposed to different environments. And so
the thing is, I never understand the thing about not allowing instructors off shift to go and teach elsewhere. I always found that quite a negative approach because, like you say, one, they learn from other places, they can bring that back. Secondly, if they've got a reputation at the various clubs and all around the circuit, chances are you're going to gain members on that because they teach at your club. So you're going to get ones joining you just for that. And also, if they're happy because they're earning more money outside of they're going to be happy in their main job. So as long as it doesn't infringe on your ability to write a rota or your class timetable, whatever, I've never really seen the danger of it. I've never had staff go and teach at, say, David Lloyd, and then suddenly we lose them to them because they think it's better. I've never had that once.
No,
Sure, it does
exactly.
happen.
No, it doesn't really. And that's exactly right, Ryan. So there's this idea that they're just going to go, or they're going to take a better option. What they don't do that because they actually care about where they teach. They actually care about the members that they teach on that Monday night, and they're consistent with that, and they can always do more. So you don't get this environment of swapping and changing. They want to earn the money, they want to work there, and they want to do a good job for their members, and that's what they do. So it's a bit of a fool's game, really, to think that A, it's not happening, and B, that you're going to stop it, because this platform that we've built has become undeniable. So the network is growing at such a pace that it is where all the talent is. And so because we used to just do group exercise as well, but now we do swim teachers, lifeguards.
I do.
Yeah, so everything, because of course this issue is in every club, in every department. So, and it's really, when you think of swimming lessons as well, I think as we're 2 or 3 years behind because of COVID, so the demand for swim is off the scale, the need for swim instructors off the scale. So just by connecting everyone, we already help solve some of that problem, but also the impact of, when a swim instructor can't turn up, they might be doing 6 hours of group children's swim lessons. The impact of that, both on experience to the members, obviously, but then the bottom line, the revenue is dramatic.
You're potentially looking at 120 kids, aren't you?
Yeah.
If not more. I mean, it's what, 15 quid a lesson. It's really serious money. And I guess the other thing that's really interesting is, whereas especially smaller clubs, independent clubs, or the ones that don't have huge staffing levels, they won't have like a David Lloyd and have a studio manager.
No, exactly.
So you're almost lumping it on the owner or some member of staff that's having to deal with it. And you well know, managing a studio takes time.
Yeah.
Just on a daily basis of changing painting instructors and making sure people are turning up, the numbers. It's a massive job.
Yeah.
But most of them don't have it. And if you've got a platform there that just does 80% of it, 90% of it, you're a winner straight off.
Well, it's just like you say, it's just there is so much to do without all the things that crop up because no day's the same. So you like got this one nailed, and then that happens, and the locker's broken, and then that person slips over, and then that person, that is enough to do. Let alone you need to drive sales. You need to look after the member experience. You want to go and have a chat with the members. You want to go and have a quick look and see if that new body pump instructor is as good as they said they were. You've got to do all of these things, but what you're actually doing is sat in the office looking for that cover list, trying to check someone's insurance and compliance because you've got your audit, person coming in on Friday, and it's just like all of that nonsense and noise can just be managed digitally. It will do a better job than you because it doesn't have an off day or forget. So it manages your compliance and your team in such a way that it just makes you less anxious and stressed as well because you can
It's the same as what I do with a lot of my clients, even down to sales. If there's a tool available that can make things easier and reduce your costs, because if you're not hiring someone to manage your studio, you've got a app like yours. It's not even in the same ballpark as hiring a member of staff from a cost perspective. It's not. And it's the same with things like all the automations for sales and the member follow-ups and all those. You're sort of going, I don't know, when we first started, we'd have been on the telephone, managing membership, all that sort of stuff, or you're doing relentless follow-up calls. That doesn't have to happen now. And no, you don't want to take the personal elements away from it, but you could cut your the levels of work the staff need to do by 80, 90%. By having the right tools in place.
Absolutely. And I guess the really key piece to that as well is that there's so many more valuable things that you could be doing than that. We on average, we did a survey recently, and we give you back 8 weeks over a year. 8 weeks. What could you do if I gave you 8 weeks to drive the bottom line, improve the member experience? Like, it's dramatic. And like you say, when you think of the cost of it, it's just, it has to be a no-brainer.
I always thought you were too cheap when you first came to market. So I probably the value that you guys offer, you're just looking at how much you charge. You know what I mean? You would expect it to be a lot more, and it's just simply not. So I think.
What one of the things was that it touches quite a few areas of the business, and the other thing was what's been a challenge for us as a business is when it's not like that mailing system you're using. This is a new one that's better. There isn't a system we're replacing because no one does full management, which looks after cover compliance, and then you can recruit. It doesn't exist. So it inevitably takes longer for people. If we think that 9% of people are early adopters, we've got a huge amount of people that you have to have a number of conversations to get it in. And that's why we offered a free pilot. We don't do that now just because of the sheer volume of clients that we're working with. But we used to because I used it and used to manage and have that, it's like a screaming baby that doesn't stop every day. It's a topic of conversation. That person's not covered, and then we've got to get this person, and then we haven't got enough of these people. I haven't got time to look for them, and where shall I find these great yoga instructors anyway? And when we had the tool, it was just like a crying baby that stopped. It just wasn't a thing anymore. We just stopped talking about it. And that's why I was just like, if you just try it in your business for 8 weeks, no one ever tried it and didn't use it. And we have 100% retention to this day. Everyone that's gone on it has stayed on it, and anyone that's tried it converted. And it's that early adoption piece though, wasn't it? It was like when WhatsApp first came out, and people were like, well, I just text. I'm not gonna, why would I WhatsApp?
I don't even look at my texts anymore.
No,
I tell people don't text me because I won't read them.
Exactly. So now it's from something like that, and it's a little bit like, writing letters and then you email. You're looking at these people because you know how good it's going to be, and it's like, why would you choose to do it this way for this amount, which is probably the equivalent of what you're paying someone about, I don't know, 10 hours a month? You can have this, which is probably what 3 or 4 team members are doing badly, because it's impossible to do it well because of the systems you're trying to use. So it just becomes that, because we're so passionate about solving the problem and creating a future in this industry for the next generation of people that can go to work and have access to opportunity and earn more money and teach more in whatever area they want to go into. It wasn't about, I want you to buy this tool. It was just like, it will be so much better if we can all join a platform like this, and you will operate better. You will provide a better member experience. And for our fitness pros, you're going to teach more, you're going to earn more, and you're going to have access to more opportunity. And, you know, for us, that was kind of like a utopia. It was just like, why wouldn't you?
I'm surprised. Well, you're probably looking at this, but there's probably an opportunity to have PTs on there as well, isn't there? I mean, I don't know where your future lies with that sort of. You don't have to tell me, but I can imagine, because it's very similar in that sense, isn't it? You know what I mean? They've got a strong PT business, and someone cancel, rather than cancel the PT, you get someone in that you know. And this, I guess, behind all of this is the fact of your compliance, and you know that they're qualified, you know who they are, and so you can just pull almost anybody from random who you've never met. I know they'll be good.
Yeah.
They come in and they deliver a job, and so you probably could reach out to PT and stuff, and so the opportunity is huge.
Yeah, PTs, paddle instructors, or pickleball in the US. We've got, if you're a sports and fitness professional, there's probably a place for you on our app. It's just the amount and the network, like as we alluded to at the beginning. So it's like, do we have all the pickleball courts in the US, or is that more of a growing market? So if you're a pickleball instructor, there'll be less opportunity than perhaps if you're Group X, because that's where we started. But in the end, and that's why our acquisition is so aggressive, it has to be fast. We're not going to be sat around in 10 years saying, how do we get another? That opportunity will not be there. It's got to be big, it's got to be fast, and the more people on it, the better it is. And that's why.
And also, what you don't want to do, because obviously, a bit like, you don't need some Russian millionaire to come in and go, I can copy that. So if you've captured most of the market before anybody else can get in, you guys are the go-to app, and there's no need to bring a secondary one in to try and compete.
Well, that's it. And I think the other thing, it's got to be authentic. So you have to care, you have to be passionate. If someone, because it was a problem we solved, but if someone had come out of industry to solve it, of course they can solve it with the technology, but you have to understand the nuances of it, and you have to be really passionate about solving the problem and looking at it from day one, which is why we work with educators as well. So we have strategic partners, because it's about education, but it's about making sure their go-to-work path is successful. And so many stages of this are looked at, and it's like, but then you get the qualification, how do you get the job? So we're the end bit. We're just a cog in an incredible industry of individuals and businesses that are doing amazing work, but you've got to connect it. You've got to connect it for it to work.
Absolutely. Now, where's the future with this? Because I understand you thinking to go out to the US, or you are out in the US?
Out in the US, yeah. So we're in Australia. We've just launched in Europe, and we're in the US and Canada. So we're going to focus on those areas. We've got.
I think they're big enough, to be fair.
They're big enough, yeah. I think that's a good start. But there's other areas that we're really interested in going into as well, which we're looking at. So growing this network is our absolute main focus at the moment, as dynamically as possible. But we are looking at, there's different ways of using our app so that you can use it, as you alluded to, for PTs. So you can connect PTs in, with opportunity very quickly. So there's opportunity for operators to be able to almost create, lightning fast matches with.
Because it's so hard to get it's hard to get Group X instructors, but to get quality PTs now, because I think the industry is taking a really bad loop. I think obviously we went through the stage where, like you and I did, give instructor, PT, sales, duty manager, whatever, all the way out. That doesn't exist anymore. And what tends to happen now is they bring them in as freelancers. There's no real career movement there, and I think a lot of people realise that. So they come in, freelancer, doesn't work for them, they leave and they go do another industry. Whereas at least if you guys are there to be able to provide opportunities, for the club to find great stuff, but also for those PTs coming through to find opportunities, I think it will start rectifying the big chasm that was created with the change of the staffing models that we've gone with. And I think that's only a good thing.
I think so. And I think the other thing is that you get good at doing something by doing it a lot of times.
Yeah.
So having being able to go to work and be able to do more of what you love, you're only going to get better at it. And if there's more opportunity and connection, and there's different people, different people are right for different brands, and different people at different levels of experience are right for different brands. And what we do is just make that really clear. So if you do need 10 million insurance, you do need 15 years experience, you do need them to have XYZ, that's absolutely fine. We can find you that. And if you want someone that's just actually really keen to learn grassroots, get out on the gym floor, happy to do those 4 to 6 hours, find that too. It's just about, you can have your selection, and it's down to you as a brand who is your right fit. But at least we've got everyone in one place looking for, having access to all the opportunity that's out there, because all these clubs are building. You're going to need all these instructors and fit pros to be able to fulfill the operation.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think people are starting to realize again the power of having a studio at their club, because I think we did go through a spell where a lot of clubs were just being built with gyms. They were just gyms, and now you see a lot of, obviously the small group PT is really thriving, and I think people are starting to consider putting studios back in the clubs, because they realise from a retention point of view,
Definitely.
it's huge.
Yeah,
a club with a good studio never struggles with retention.
No, it's exactly right. And I think it's like fashion, isn't it? So, you think flares are gone and then they're back in. So if you can figure out what the fashion cycle is for fitness, but it all comes round, because the other thing I always think, and that we come back to, is, if you look at the anatomy and physiology of the body, the human body, we only move in certain ways. There's like flexion, extension. Like, you can think of like a million amazing ways of recreating this, but essentially these are the movements. And so we're going to try all these different things, and there's going to be fashions, and there's going to be, this is the main focus, then it's Pilates reformer, and then it's going to be this, and then it's going to be that. And all you've got to, but you want to create an environment that enables you to be able to pivot, to keep up with that, but have a core value of what you want to be able to provide. But what you are absolutely going to need to have is people. And so you are going to need a system that enables you to manage them effectively in a streamlined, digitized way, make sure your members are safe because everyone's compliant, and gives you access to a wider network of up and coming fitness pros, or very experienced fitness pros, so that you can keep being able to provide that vision that you had, whatever it was for that club. It's got to be down to people.
And you guys get to, I don't know whether you'll see this, but you guys get to see the data of what classes seem popular? Because obviously, if you're sending a yoga instructor out, you'll see how many times yoga instructors are being hired. Is there anything that stands out? So go, oh, I wasn't expecting that sort of change.
We get all of the data because we're connected to the timetables. We get all of the data of, frequency of classes, class pay, popularity, etc., to varying degrees, depending on what they report on. That's obviously data that's locked because it's private to that client.
Absolutely,
but we do have the most incredible visibility. But I guess the focus for us is about the movement of people. And the reasons behind why they do things. It's that behavioral piece which will help us solve in the future through the tool. So we look at more like frequency of or density of population, frequency of classes, like you say, and times and days. And how do we then connect the educators in that area with the app so that we can funnel through more of the opportunity? Because as I said at the beginning, like when you're operating your team, if you simply don't have enough of that instructor, there's no magic wand out there that's going to solve for that. You just need to hire.
That's brilliant for the industry, because you guys can have a look at it and go, actually, we're really short staffed on yoga. You go to the training providers and go, right, if you can get people qualified on we can find the work. It's
and then
really
we can
easy.
also,
and then suddenly it becomes a proper career path.
Absolutely. And we can also say, hey, all of you yoga instructors in London, do you realize there's this course over there? For X amount, you become this. And did you know if you are able to teach this, you're going to easily make £800 a week doing this, because there is that much opportunity. So again, connecting all the dots of, in order to do this, you need to do this, and therefore you'll get to that. because
fantastic, isn't
otherwise
it?
there's no one knows. There's they
That's what I mean. Because obviously at the minute, if they're not on your platform or you're not, you're sort of going, "Oh, what would I like to do?"
yeah,
But that doesn't actually mean you're going to make money out of that. I know loads of people have gone and qualified in X, Y, and Z, and then struggled to find the work for that. Whereas you've got a platform going, actually, you want to be an instructor, but these are the classes you want to teach because they're the most popular where you're going to get work.
yeah,
You're obviously going to go, I'm doing that first. The one I really love, I'll go do later once I've got my business up and running and I'm making loads of money.
exactly. And I think it's all it's lifting the car bonnet on everything and just being really transparent about it and not having all these locked doors and data unavailable and we're not really sure. And just by revealing everything, it's like a level playing field because there's supply and demand, but no one's talking and no one's connected. So if we can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
link supply and demand, we're going to have a much more aggressive growth into the future.
But I think businesses like yours, and we'll come to an end because God, that's flown by. I think businesses like yours are really good for our industry, not just for providing what you provide, but we're not the most connected of industries. I know we have UK Active and SimSpy, but
Yeah.
we don't work well as an industry together as clubs. We all see each other as competition. So I think
Yeah.
having guys like you that sit on the outside of that, going, right, we're going to provide opportunities, we're going to find those, we're going to give you the data to help the industry come together more, can only be a good thing for us.
I think we hope to be seen as a vehicle of growth
Yeah.
for all of these incredible organisations because it has to change because we won't be able to build at the speed that we want to build if we don't have an infrastructure or a way of doing it. And this is the way to do it. And the product and the tool, which I have to say is mainly Beverly that's built that, all the testing with an incredible team. But
I bet it took some developing, didn't it?
yes, it's huge. And
Yeah.
millions of dollars. But it's
No,
built.
I can imagine. People don't realise actually what goes behind a lot of these apps because obviously, from a user point of view, they're usually really easy to use. They're user
Yeah,
friendly. You just look at it, click, 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 it's job done. But the work that goes behind building, I know someone who builds apps, and they're not cheap, obviously, but secondly, the work that goes into getting it right because obviously that click there could affect all of that down there. So
absolutely.
there's so much to it. So
It's
I think
huge.
yeah, I think you've done an amazing job putting it together. Now, I appreciate I've had you on for an hour, and that's just absolutely flown by. We'll probably get you back on again and talk even more. Now, in terms of future, you guys are flying. We'll put all your details at the start and the end of the podcast. So if anybody does want to get in touch with you, then obviously give you a shout. Obviously, all your details on the Fit Supply Hub as well. So if people want to go on there, the one thing I ask all my guests, Rosanna, is what motivates you to do what you do in your job? Obviously, you've had a great career so far. What motivates you get up in the morning other than going for a run?
Well, they say it needs to be. I heard a podcast, and I'm really sorry because I can't remember who it was with, but they say that to really be good at something, it has to come from either pain, passion, or it's your profession. And I'm so lucky that I get to do all three. So it's
Yeah,
my absolute passion. I love this industry. I've grown up in this industry, and I genuinely want to leave it in a better place in terms of connectivity than I found it. Um, it was such a huge pain point. I couldn't operate my business like this. Like
yeah,
I wasn't doing an effective job of doing that. So by solving for that, that was hugely important because the pain was that much. And you know, what keeps me going is the team around me that I work with because they're all such exceptional individuals, but they're all as passionate as I am, as we all
I,
are. We're kind of a similar ilk, aren't we?
I'll be honest. I've met a few of your staff and spoken to a few of them, and every single one of them have the same energy you do.
Oh,
And
amazing.
and that's
Yeah,
either brilliant hiring and they're great people who just, or you have an amazing culture at the business, or both. But it does come across every single one of them that I've met are so passionate about the brand, so passionate about what they do. They love the industry. It just flows. I mean, I met Danica, I think it was at Performex. I was
yeah,
just like, wow. the passion that just flew off her it was crazy. I was like, you clearly love what you do, and and that's brilliant, and that just shows how quickly you're growing. It can only be good for your brand if you've got people like that on board.
Oh no, the team are absolutely everything, and they all have, and no one does the same thing, and no one's the same kind of person. So it's such an amazing mix when we all come together, and we're all driving with the same goal in mind, and it's just so clear. And the other thing is that the tool itself is amazing.
Yeah,
and that's really, you know, I've also worked for companies, and I've also anyway developed things, and you know, myself as well. And you're like, it's okay. It's pretty good, but this is amazing. It's really, really good. And when people use it, you get that. It's like giving someone a great present. So when they go through the pilot phase, and then I get on the call, I'm like, how's it? They're like, it's brilliant. And I'm like, I know, it's brilliant, isn't it? And then you get that such a good feeling, because it's like the instructors are happier, the operators are happier. And it just feels like no one would say, I'm actually just going to go back to the way I was doing it before.
I'm going back to Excel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually all right spending 15 hours a week doing this really painful thing. Doesn't happen. So it's just a real feel good environment. So I hope that we can keep.
The other good thing is, I mean, obviously before the digitalizer, there are other companies that tried to do this, and it never worked out. So it's great because it's been needed for ever since I've been in the industry 25 years. So it's and you see these companies come and go, and then you guys have just nailed it, and it's gone, okay, this is how it should be done. And yes, timing is right, because we've got the digital aids and the app to be able to do it and everything else.
Yeah.
That's clearly not the reason it's a success. It's the app is really what you're selling, but the success is you guys. So well done on that.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a real pleasure to speak with you.
No, absolutely. If anyone who does want to get in touch with you, obviously all your details will be there. You're all over LinkedIn, so they see you on there. But thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
and we'll get you on again soon once you cracked another market like South America.
Super. Love to. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Bye.
Awesome. I'll edit all that for you, Rosanna, and I'll get it over to you. Like I say, some people like to cut it up and use it for their marketing if it works for them. Others just share it. So I don't mind either way, but I'm not fickle in how you use it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. I love what you guys are doing, and like I say, every time I speak to any of you guys, it's always, I've never met Bev, I'll be honest, but 3 or 4 of the stuff that I've met. I can imagine she's a similar personality to the rest of you, because I don't think a shrinking violet would survive in your office.
No, she's great. Really great. You'll have to meet her.
Awesome. Thanks, nice one. I'll let you go and enjoy. You got a nice weekend planned?
Flying to Miami for
oh wow.
Yeah, for top secret, but we're going to partner with Zumba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll make sure I cut that off the podcast.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That off. Yeah. Really exciting.
Wow. Well, I think things like that just go to show the faith that people have got in your business. So.
Yeah. So, did you finish recording? Sorry, Ryan. I thought we were.
Oh no. We said bye, so it's still recording now, but I'll chop that bit out.
Okay, fine. If you could.
If I
synced the whole deal.